What's up, everybody? It's Skullman here, bringing you another Skullman Reads. I'm going to be reading March to the Scaffold, and this is a romance, sad, and downright dark fanfic. I don't know if it's really going to be that dark or not, but this is the first reading I am reading at, 1 o'clock at night. And if I wake anyone up, I am screwed. But, this is gonna be a long story. This is an incomplete story, and there's let's see, so far there's just 13 chapters, and overall it's long. In general, it's just very long. And this is just gonna be a story I'm probably gonna be reading at night, so don't expect me to be all, oh, fake let us know shit about the story, I don't care. But I'm probably just gonna read the story just normally. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get this story started, and before I do, I almost forgot to, announce what this was. This was featured on EQD and FimFiction, so this is a pretty good fucking story, I guess, and it's by Foxy Kimchi. So, congratulations, Foxy Kimchi, you have a very good story, and I salute you. And, I'm going to go ahead and get the story started. Links in the description if you want to read along. Any annotations are at the end of the video, so wait until the end of the fucking video, because I know none of you guys do. But anyway, just wait till the end of the video. It's pretty cool. I did something a little different. So here we go. Thump, thump, thump. On the outskirts of Canterlot, the sound of marching hoofbeats and rattling armor echoed in the early morning air. Thump, thump, thump. The Royal Equestrian Army was marching back from battle towards Canterlot, their home. Their latest endeavor against the changelings was success, and they had defeated the enemy, and most importantly, captured their leader, Queen Chrysalis. The soldiers of the Royal Equestrian Army were escorting her back to Canterlot so she could be brought to trial for her crimes against Equestria. Although some were bloody and bruised, all were elected to come back home as war heroes and to embrace their loved ones. With their heads held high, they marched with vigor. The younger bachelor soldiers were ready to show off their war wounds at any mare they could find, or cold, if they were into that. Thump, thump, thump. Queen Chrysalis, on the other hoof, was in no mood to celebrate. Her hooves bound, her mouth muzzled, and her magic restrained. She could only wait in her cage as she was carried to the enemy's capital and her former invasion target, Canterlot. The rocking of the wagon and the cadence of marching hoofbeats did nothing to ease her growing anxiety. Left solely with her thoughts, she could only imagine her inevitable fate at the hooves of her capturers. Oh, how she would regret her failed invasion. She had only wanted to take a small amount of love, just enough to survive and feed her changelings. But after tasting the love of shining armor in Equestria, she had become intoxicated. She had wanted everything Equestria had to offer. In order to satisfy her carnivorous hunger, she had decided to invade Canterlot, and after her conquest, she would then take over Equestria, so that she could feed her heart's content. Chrysalis had thought her plan was foolproof, but in the end, her overconfidence was her weakness. Thump, thump, thump. The marching became slightly faster and more erratic as the soldiers became more excited. The offbeat of the monotosis tempo awakened Chrysalis from her previous thoughts. She looked up and ahead to see the drawbridge to Canterlot open. She gulped in anxiety. This is it, Chrysalis thought to herself. Her parade through Canterlot, the crescendo of the beginning of the end, her march to the scaffold. In the early morning, the streets of Canterlot were relatively empty. Only a few ponies were up at this hour, beginning to prepare for whatever the day would bring. It was the sight and the marching of the Royal Equestrian Army that began to rouse the citizens from their early morning stupor. Upon looking at them, and more importantly, what they were escorting, they began to cheer. A few citizens ran ahead and spread the good news and prepared a hero's welcome. As the soldiers marched on, the cheering and celebrations began to increase, and more ponies came out to celebrate. The effects of the celebrations and fanfare were most evident among the younger soldiers, puffing out their chests, raising their chins, and shifting wings of pieces of armor to show off their battle injuries as their pride swelled. Chrysalis, however, could only feel the cold, hard glares from the crowd that were directed at her. Luckily, they were short-lived, as the citizens of Canterlot were more focused on the safe return of their loved ones. She was thankful that they were not throwing any garbage at her. The soldiers continued to march, showing slightly in order to savor the citizens' welcome. The intensity of the cheers increased. The celebrations and fanfare reached their climax at the town square, the entire city now well aware of the Royal Equestrian Army's triumph. The square and surrounding streets were packed with celebrating ponies, cheering on the soldiers and shooting the occasional glare at Chrysalis. Mare friends and wives broke through the crowd, hugging and kissing their returned lovers. As the Chrysalis entourage made their way out of the town square, they began to enter the upper terrace. As the Chrysalis entourage made their way through the town square, they began to enter the upper terrace of Canterlot, home of the elites and nobles. Chrysalis instantly sensed a dramatic change in the atmosphere. The Canterlot elite and nobility were cheering not for the soldiers' safe return, but for her blood. Even the soldiers themselves began to feel uneasy among the bloodthirsty crowd, neither expecting nor wanting such a welcome. This was not what it meant to be in the Royal Equestrian Army. The soldiers began to quicken their pace towards the castle entrance, eager to leave such an unruly crowd. Chrysalis cringed slightly, the atmosphere and shouting unnerving her. But that moment was short-lived. She steadied herself. She would not look weak in her final moments. As short as her tendency in Canterlot had been, she had already come to despise its nobility. The love she could feel from the nobles was not only small in amount, but also tainted and foul. She could tell they were more interested in selfish gain and indulgence than love. In addition, she hated how they carried themselves. The nobility and elite always thought they were above the common worker pony. They viewed the lower class as uncivilized, always turning their noses away from them. And yet here they were, a barbaric mob calling for her blood. To her, they were just a food source like any pony else. Nothing special about them. She sneered at them. Chrysalis had always hated the idea of nobility. During her rule, she had treated her changelings as equals, no individual above or below the rest. Chrysalis looked ahead, trying to tune out the unruly mob around her. As Canterlot Castle drew closer and closer, gleaming white like the face of death, so too she could feel the final act of her life approaching its finale. As the castle doors opened and she was taken inside, Chrysalis turned around, taking what might be her final opportunity to behold the light of day. Slam! Chrysalis winced as the castle doors slammed shut. She could hear the celebration outside continue as they laughed her coming fate.
Dun dun dun! Chrysalis is gonna get fucked up by Celestia and Luna, hopefully.
Alright, that's the end of this story. Next chapter is going to be coming up, I don't know when. It's when I feel like reading it at night. So thank you for listening. Go ahead and follow me on Twitter. Go ahead and like me on Facebook. Please, I would appreciate it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So comment the video down below. I like it. It's your favorites. And comment about that burp. It was weak, I know. Just like it and comment it, please. And subscribe to become awesome today, guys. Trust me, you won't regret it. Alright, that's enough. So I'll see you guys later.
Oh, Fluttershy, you never told any of us about this!
Still holding the withering Skulu down with his strong hooves, he mounted the orange filly and slid his penis into her tight return pussy. What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck is this?